Welcome back to the session on problem solving Unit 4 Introduction to Python. In the last session, we understood the meaning of operators and conditional execution. In operators, we understood the meaning of assignment operator as well as the bitwise operators. Assignment operator was seen along with the short circuit operators, wherein different examples were shown. For example, if I say x plus equals 5, it means that x equals x plus 5, which is known to you already in terms of the C programming. The similar concept applies in Python. And in bitwise operators, we understood the meaning of and, or, not, right shift and left shift, which is again known to you in C programming, but the syntactically they are different. They are used like a normal English words, and of course the working remains similar. And apart this, we also saw the meaning of chained execution, wherein it is similar to the else if ladder that we had seen in C programming. And here the keyword was elif, which can be chained or it can be put one after another and followed by a else statement. Now with this understanding, this completes the syllabus of Unit 4, but we'll try to incorporate all these concepts in a problem solving session of today's with the different programs. So before that, let me tell you what all we have understood or what all we have gone through as far as the Unit 4 syllabus is concerned. Now this is your content of the Unit 4. We understood variables, reservoirs, lines, indentation, quotation, comments, input output statement. Input is input statement itself, output is a print statement, different data types, operators and expressions. Then the standard data types like numbers, strings and boolean. Similarly, we had seen operators, that is arithmetic operators, comparison, assignment, logical and bitwise operators. So we'll incorporate this in set of programs. So let us, that is, the first program says that write a program in Python to accept an integer, accept a number as base and another number as exponent from the user, and then determine the value of base raised to the exponent of the number. Now again, looking at the program, you must have guessed it that this is a program of the operator that we already understood called as exponentiation, and that is represented by a double star or double asterisk. It's very simple. First accept a number as a base, convert it to, let us say, integer, and then again accept another number as exponent and then convert it to integer, and then the base asterisk asterisk raised to exponent should give you the value of base raised to an exponent. So if you look at this program, so this is what is the program. Of course we are going to type this and see the output there. So if you look at this, is how we are going to do it. So let us go to the editor and see the actual output through the Thonny editor. So this is the first statement, base equals input, enter the base. We'll save this program. So you can save this in let us say problem solving, and we'll call this as exercise 1.py. And now we'll have this conversion base. Since this is a string, you know it very well that you need to convert this base, so int of base, and similarly you accept the exponent. Similarly expo, that is enter the exponent, we'll call it as a variable expo, we'll store it in expo and convert this expo to an integer, again store it back into expo. So this final value of this expo is an integer. Similarly final value of base is an integer. Now all that you need to do is take a variable value, let us call it as value equals base star star or asterisk asterisk expo, and that's it. you need to just print this. I have typed a sentence here, that is base raised to expo, the variable names base and expo, and final value is value. So base raised to expo is the value. So this is the message we are supposed to print. Now let us run this. Now you can see in the output screen it is showing you, rather it is asking you the enter the base here. So let us try to enter the base here. Enter the base as 2 and exponent as, let us take this as 8. So do you know that 2 raised to 8 is 256? Oops, but there is a problem there. You can see there is a deliberation why I have done this. You can see it is saying that name error value is not defined. Now you know that the variable which you have declared here as value as small v, whereas this is capital. And what is the point here is, you should know that Python is case sensitive about the identifier or the variable that you are declaring, similar to C. So you should have the same name over here also. So let us change this capital V to small v. This is one thing. Then another understanding that you should know is that this error is not shown while compilation or while the initial phase, but it executes all the statements till it reaches that point where the error has occurred. It clearly tells you that it is an interpretive language, unlike C, where C during the compilation phase itself you can identify the errors. Now let us again run this after correcting this. Now it is asking again the base. Let us enter 2 and then enter 8 here. So 2 raised to 8 is, you can see there is 256. So this is what you get after running the program. But again let us try to have another run on it, and now this time we'll enter the base as 100. Now please pay attention, see that we are going to raise this number by 100. Now you must be wondering, this program is certainly going to crash. Now 100 raised to 100 is quite a big number, so let us see whether our program crashes. Oh great, so you can see that Python absolutely handles it wonderfully, and you can see the numbers there, a big number. Of course don't worry about counting the zeros there. So this is what is another understanding, that you can make use of Python to crunch bigger numbers or work on different mathematical operations which involve larger size without worrying about the data type. Now with this understanding, quickly let us go to the next program that we have, and that is about write a Python program, that is program in Python, to accept two numbers from the user, divide the first number by second, then display the real and integer quotient and also the remainder. Now if you look at, there are three parts to the program. First part says that you are supposed to calculate the real division, that is real quotient, then integer quotient, and finally the remainder of the two numbers. So how do you work on this? Again, you know that there are different operators which are involved. You must have guessed it by this time, that whenever I want to perform a real division, then you know that there is only a single forward slash. So you can take the numbers input as integer, as well as you can even take it as a float. That does not matter. But when you use a single forward slash, then automatically it will be converted to the real value. Now this first part. And the second part is integer. You know how to perform an integer division. So how do you perform an integer division? Yes, and that's it. That is the two forward slashes you make use of, and that will give you an integer division or an integer quotient. And then finally the remainder, you know, the modulus operator. So how does the program look like? Now you accept the first number, of course you know it, then you convert it to one of the form. Let us take float itself. We have seen integer, now we can convert this to float, and similarly accept the second number, convert it to float, and then perform respectively the real division, that is QUOTR, similarly integer division, and finally the remainder. So let us go to the editor and see how does it work. Now this is the first statement, num1 equals, enter the first number. I will save this as, let us call this as exercise 2. dot py. Do not forget to put the py. And we'll try to change this time the single quotes. Instead of single quotes, we'll try to make use of double quotes on either side, and then convert this number to num1 to float instead of integer. And then similarly we'll have the second number accepted and do the same thing. We'll copy paste. So this is how you'll enter the second number, and num2 also will convert it to float. And after this we'll try to have a quotient, which is, let us call this as QU O2 R equals num1. Now you know that it is num1 divided by num2. It's a real division or real quotient we want, so it is single forward slash. And similarly I have this QUOT capital I equals integer part, so I just have to set up 2 times forward slash num2. This will give me integer division. And finally let us call this as REM, remainder, and this is num1, and you know it that the modulus operator is percentage, so this will give me the remainder. Now let us display all these 3 values separately using a print statement. Now we have 3 different statements here. Print statement, the real quotient is QUOTR. Of course there is no percentage specification required here. The integer quotient is QUOT of capital I, and similarly remainder is there. Let us execute this by using F5 here. And now it is asking me to enter the first number. Let us enter it as some odd number, 15, and divide by, let us say, 4. Now what do you get here is 3.75 is the real quotient, you can see here. Similarly the integer quotient is 3.0. Now why this is 3.0 is, it is not only 3 but 3.0 because you have taken it as, converted this to float value. If you convert this to integer, it would be 3 only, and hence it is 3.0 because of its float. And remainder is 3.0 again, because whatever is the remaining after 4 3s are 12, and 15 minus 12 is 3. So this is how the 3 operators work, and I believe you understood this program, which is quite simple in itself. Write a Python. Next program is write a Python program to check whether the entered character is an alphabet or not. Now you already are familiar with these kind of programs, but let us see how we do it in Python. Now whenever you are supposed to accept a character from the keyboard, now you know that Python treats everything as a string. But one thing you should know, that moment I try to compare that character which I accepted as a string with some value, then I can treat it as an ASCII value. What I mean here is, for example, if I accept a character, let us say CH, and I want to check whether it is an alphabet. Now you know that the character first of all need to fall in a certain range of ASCII values, then only it is a character. And for that alphabet, for that, you know, the set is small a to capital, small a to small z is one set, another is capital A to capital Z, another set. So what I mean here is, first you need to check whether the given character's ASCII value lies within the ASCII value of small set of alphabets, that is A to Z, or it may lie into the capital set of capital A to capital Z. And hence this check, once this check is satisfied or it is successful, then you can say it is alphabet, and if this check fails, then you can say it is a not an alphabet. So let us try to go through this program. Excuse me. Type a character, so you collect that character into CH, and now the first thing that you need to do is check whether your CH is greater than or equal to single quotes A and CH is less than or equal to single quotes Z. So this is a Python statement that automatically checks its ASCII value. So CH, it will check the ASCII value, whether that ASCII value is greater than or equal to A, or that CH is less than or equal to Z, and this is AND condition. So the AND of this, if this condition is satisfied, or you can use a OR operator. So logical operators are used here. Now similarly you have CH greater than or equal to A and CH less than or equal to Z. So if it falls in this range, then you can say that it is a alphabet or it is an alphabet. Otherwise you can say that it is, else it is not an alphabet. So let us go to the editor and see how this can be performed. Now let us call this program as exercise3.py. We'll accept a character, type a character, that is ch, and now you need not convert to any form. Directly you can say if ch equals, you know there is a double equal to sign used for comparison. I mean here greater than, greater than or equal to small a, and ch less than or equal to small z. So this is one condition. Let us have a bracket here. Let us put everything into bracket. This is one condition, and or you can have ch greater than or equal to capital A. Now this is what is the condition here. Ch is greater than or equal to small a and less than this, or greater than equal to capital and less than capital Z, followed by a colon, because this is syntax. Then you can comfortably say, see, automatically the cursor gets aligned, but if it doesn't get aligned, if it comes to the first column, you just have to press the tab here and write here print ch is an else colon ch is not an alphabet. So else ch is not an alphabet. Now you know that the character ASCII value is compared here as we discussed. Similarly, ASCII value is satisfied here. Now we'll execute this by using this F5, and it's asking us to type a character. Let us type G here. So G is an alphabet. Again we'll run this. We'll type hash. Hash is not an alphabet. We'll again run this. Up arrow you have to just press for running, and then you type E here. So E is an alphabet, or for that matter you type capital P here. P is an alphabet. So this is how the program runs. Now the subsequent program which we are going to work on will be using the same logic of this program. So the next program is write a Python program to check whether the entered character is vowel or consonant. As I said, we'll use the same concept of checking whether it is a character or not. Once it is a character, then you can say comfortably check for whether it is a vowel or not. And for checking vowel, you know that you need to compare all the 5 alphabet, that is A, E, I, O, U. That is one set, small case, and similarly capital A, E, I, O, U. So total 10 comparisons. So if you look at this program, the first line is similar. The second line is also known to us, that is second statement, which is whether it is a character or not. If it is alphabet or not. If it is an alphabet, then only you can check whether it is a vowel or not. So this is how you want to compare. If ch equals A, capital A or small a, capital E and small e, and so on, then it is a vowel. Otherwise it's not a vowel. And outside this if statement, if the entered character is not a alphabet, then you can say it is not an alphabet. You need not go inside to check it. So let us go to the editor and incorporate by using the previous program. We will modify the previous program itself. Now this is a previous program, so I have removed that print statement. Now after knowing that it is an alphabet, you know that there has to be another if. So if within if, so we are using a concept of nested if here. If my ch happens to be equal capital A, or ch equals small a. So this is the check. We are going to have all the check on A, E, capital and small I, capital and small O, U, and followed by a colon, and then finally you can say that, of course this is automatically aligned. You can see here 1 tab, 2 tabs, and print it is a ch is a vowel. Else again it is aligned here with this if. So inside if itself, so this is aligned to else, is aligned to that. It is not a vowel or it is a consonant. So let us copy paste this. So it is a vowel, else it is consonant. Rest all remains same. If this is not a character, then it comes to this. Now it is, let us execute this. It is asking us to type a character. Let us type it as capital D. D is a consonant. You can see there. D is a consonant. Now run it again. Let us run it for capital I. I is a vowel. And let us run this and take another character. Let us call it ampersand. Ampersand is not an alphabet, so it is very much fine. So it checks, we have checked for all the cases almost. You can check for even small case is a vowel, and then similarly you check for capital Y here. It's a consonant. So this is how you can have different cases here and execute this conditions by using a nested if statement to solve this problem, which you already know it, only syntactically it is a little different in Python. So with this note, let us end this session. I believe you'll practice this and it was fruitful enough for you to incorporate this into your programs. So that's it for today. Thank you. Have a good day and a safe day.